Ouch.
Okay, we are...
Ouch, hold on. Got chiggers.
There's chiggers.
This weekend, up at the property, we are doing a couple different things, but the main goal is to dig a pond, which, again, like most things we've done so far, no idea if it's gonna work or not. We're gonna be doing it with the tractor and bucket, and maybe the box blade a little bit, so we'll see. The main reason to do a pond now and not just kind of wait and do that later like most of the kind of landscaping stuff that we'll do is because we really need a reliable source of water for the cows so that we can get up here quickly. So we've done some research.
Yeah, as much
we'll
as
see.
we can in a short amount of time.
Yeah, Eric will be doing pretty much all of it with the tractor. We have a lot of brush to clear out. There's a site that we're fairly confident in, but you never know until you get in there. There's a couple of black willows, which is a pretty good sign that there's water. So that is what we're gonna start on today. First, we gotta get in and move a lot of the brush and full-on trees, and then we'll start digging. So we'll see how much we can do between now and Tuesday afternoon.
We have plenty of other things to do. Really need to work on driveway, other things, but Tess had the idea that we have a spot that we're pretty sure has a high water table. We said, why not just try to dig a pond? And we were looking into excavators, etc. But well, we have a tractor. Let's just see what we can do with that. So
push it to its limit.
Yeah, we're gonna put it to work.
Yeah, because that really is right now the main holdup for us actually getting up here full time. Because we can figure out power stuff, we can figure out fencing, we can figure out water for us, but we can't really solve the issue of reliable water source for the cows. We're in the dead of summer right now, and so that has to be a sure bet before we truck them up here. We'll see. I'm pretty excited. I feel pretty hopeful, but we have no idea. So we'll take you through that over the next couple of days. Here is where we're gonna start digging for the pond. And this is somewhere that we had already talked about would be nice to have a pond kind of long-term later on. This is, as of right now, not gonna be our driveway anymore. That will be. So this will just kind of be a nice area to probably have the cows pastured coming into a livestock pond area. And you can kind of see over here, we have some black willows, which of course willows love water. It's a good sign that hopefully there's some kind of abundance of water down there. And it's pretty low lying. It'll be getting all of the runoff of this hillside all the way down to here. So we're kind of banking on those factors all combined, working in our favor and finding some water. We dug in an area kind of similar to this off in the woods, and we actually found water about 7 feet down, but it wasn't a ton. So I don't know how deep we're gonna go with the pond yet, but we're really hoping that it just fills with water and we can get it to seal and it just works. Here's a bit of a better view of the willows that we definitely want to keep around. I've always thought willows are just so beautiful, and especially to have them potentially on a pond side, just be a really nice area aesthetically, but also just for the cows to be able to come and drink water, have some shade. And it'll be kind of a combination of a livestock pond and just a pleasant, pretty pond. So we want to keep it kind of somewhat vegetated on the sides. The willows will be a really good part of that. And other than that, we're gonna kind of clear a lot of it out.
Our tractor is the old style pin-on loader on the front end loader. They used to all have these pins that would connect the arms on to the bucket or whatever else. You'll see that a bit later, but I wanted to convert it to the skid steer quick attach system, which is this lever and pin. So you can buy kits to convert the older pin style to this. And this was a bit of just jump in with both feet and try it out situation. Shout out to the guys at B10, the metal department, specifically Brian Rogers, gave me a ton of knowledge and helpful tips because I'm also not what I would call a proficient welder. How this basically worked was these ears right here were on the bucket. This portion was a kit that I ordered online. So I cut these ears off, added material on to get enough clearance for the knuckle on the loader, which was something I definitely overlooked at first. I thought I could just weld this on, but I needed that extra space to have enough clearance. So welded all of that up, welded it onto the plate, and then got a plate to weld onto the back of the bucket that has the slots that you need. And it's almost like if you've ever seen a French cleat for hanging picture or mirror, it's kind of like that. So it all latches together. So that's what happened with this, and I'll show you, well, I'm gonna see if it all fits. I did this down 2 hours away, so we're gonna take it up to the tractor and see if it all goes together okay. All right, I haven't tried to put these on yet. Basically what I did was pulled my tape measure on a lot of spots, took photos of it, and then took the bucket with all the stuff to the shop, and then used those photos with the measurements to kind of figure out what I needed to do. So yeah, it's kind of been a process trying to figure out exactly what needs to happen, but I think I got it right. Hopefully we don't have to make any modifications, but we're about to find out how well it fits. Okay. Spacing looks good. The knuckle fits in there. Pin goes through, that's good. Dang, so I actually don't have as much clearance in the back as I thought I would. I want this to actually rotate flat. Come around here just so you can see. So this whole plate probably should have been shifted up so that this would go back. So I'm not sure what I want to do yet, but I may just grind off this last little bit here to think about whether or not that'll be structurally okay or not. But this might not be the worst in the world, but say with the bucket, the bottom of the bucket will be right here, so it won't dump the whole way out. For the forks and some other attachments, it's probably not a big deal, but yeah, let's see what we can do.
Yesterday, we were working on the pond, and it was going pretty well for 6+ hours, I think. We had a lot more clearing than we expected, which we have come to expect the unexpected at this point. But that area is basically where the logging company years ago just kind of piled all the smaller stuff, and they piled it like 8+ feet high, and so there was so much packed in there, and it took a lot longer than we thought, but we worked on that for hours, and then we were almost down to like the topsoil, and Eric was doing like a couple more pushes, like shoving stuff out of the pond site, and I heard him say something, knew something was bad. I went over and it was spewing coolant. The tractor was spewing coolant. So knew it was pretty bad. We weren't really sure. And once we looked underneath, we could see this log he was driving over it, and it somehow flipped up and continued to like punch into the ground and the radiator. So we saw that a coolant hose was disconnected, and we're like, maybe it was just like a hose popped off, but the radiator was also like shoved up into the tractor like 2-3 inches. And so we pulled it over and filled it with coolant, and it was still leaking. So this morning Eric went to a couple different stores to get some stuff to kind of like weld it, but it's not really welding. We'll kind of show you what that looks like, and we'll see if it works. We really hope so, because we really need to get this pond dug today. Here is the pond site this morning after clearing all day yesterday. Those are the willows I pointed out. So it's pretty nice and clear now, and you can still see a bunch of stuff piled up over here. We're gonna leave that for now because it's not right where we're digging. But yeah, everything was just really starting to break down, so it was really annoying to try to get it with the tractor and forks because it would all just kind of fall apart. And so we had to do a lot of it by hand actually, but now today I just really hope we can get digging. This is how we combat bugs around here. New radiator, woohoo! First tractor casualty. It was a doozy. but we got the part pretty quickly, like less than 48 hours total, I think. So yeah, we're gonna get this installed, hopefully quickly and easily, and then start actually digging this pond.
So yeah, the log just shoved the radiator up and it shoved it into the fan blade.
So the fan blade is actually what did like maybe 100% of the damage.
And then I tried to repair it by brazing it, which I've never done before, and it did not work. And I did not do it right. So we bought a new one.
We tried. Here is pond, or the hole. Hopefully it'll fill with water, but we actually got a lot more done in less than 24 hours than I expected, especially just with a little tractor. Yesterday was the big push to get the pond actually dug after the radiator incident. We got a new one ordered in and installed really quickly, actually. We installed that yesterday afternoon, or the day before. All the days run together sometimes when we're here. So that took a solid afternoon, but learned a lot more about the tractor. Feel like I actually know kind of what's what with it. And it was just really nice to get that installed pretty easily and quickly. And then all day yesterday, Eric was on the tractor digging the pond. I was up the hill, weed eating brush down, trying to clear for the power line. But last night when we went to bed, there was a big storm moving in, and I know it rained for at least a couple hours, so we were pretty excited to see what the pond looked like this morning, see if it actually held any water. And so now I'm gonna take you down and show you what it looked like when we woke up earlier this morning. This is the hillside at the top of the pond. So all of this runs downhill to where we put the pond. That's the big pile of topsoil that we dug off. And here is the pond. We were so excited and surprised to see that much water after just one night and just one storm, really. It was just an hour and a half of rain. It was a good rain though. So we have about 2.5 feet of water already in the pond, and we're marking it to see if it seems to be pretty sealed. This clay is so hard and gets so smooth that we feel pretty confident it's gonna seal quite well. It's probably 5 feet deep at its deepest point, kind of where you can see that dark spot that's just some floating debris. So yeah, we were so excited to see it already having water this morning. And we went through a really dry month last month, so we're hoping we're out of that kind of drought and that it'll just fill up and stay full. This morning I am just kind of walking around and noticing all the places where the water channels. So usually we're going to be working against the erosion. In this case, we're kind of going to work with it. So we have this kind of little trench, this channel that's coming down from the hillside. So I'm going to kind of use that to our advantage to get the pond filled, and we'll probably end up putting a culvert or something in here later. But for now, I'm just gonna hand dig and kind of continue what's already started. You can see where the water was coming down, mostly because we just don't want the sides of the pond to totally wash away. So I'm gonna just hand dig a little bit of a ditch all along the side here to channel the water in so it doesn't just spread out over this ramp, which we did it really shallow over here so that the cows can walk right into the pond, and we just don't want that to all wash away into the pond. So that's what I'm going to work on this morning. Eric is up mowing at the front of the property, and we'll see. We're going to have to leave this evening, so we're excited to see what it looks like in a few days or so when we come back up. Just got back up to the property after about a week away. Of course, we've been dying to know what the pond is going to look like and if it's holding water more full, completely dry, and it looks pretty good. Okay, it It's hard to tell because our markers are now covered up in water, but I want to say it has at least another foot of water, maybe more. And I came through and planted the banks with clover seed, just to try and get them to start holding and not wash away. And all my clover seed sprouted, which is so exciting. The cows, of course, love clover. They can't have a crazy amount of it, but this is just gonna be, you can see it everywhere. This is gonna be really nice to start to just kind of bind everything together on the bank so they don't continue to just wash down into the pond. I put this stick here. It was about probably 2 feet further up on the bank than where the water level was. And now we're right at it. And I think at some point it was maybe even higher than that. It's hard to tell, but yeah, probably another 1.5 feet of water in there. And it definitely isn't lower. So to me, I feel pretty safe, probably bringing the cows up. Maybe next week, we'll see. Now that the pond is starting to fill and we're just seeing what rainfall and stuff does to the pond and this whole area, now that it's been about a week, I think, since we dug it, we are just trying to kind of take notice of some things that we need to be aware of, to change, to work on, stuff like that. And one thing that we are already noticing is gonna need a little bit of work is this far side of the bank. So that bank is by far the steepest and that's the deepest part of the pond. I mean, we have a lot of water in there, so if it stayed as it is, that's totally fine, but I think we could pretty easily get it to hold quite a bit more, like probably 2 more feet, which when you're talking about the entire pond, that's a lot of water and that's more water security for us, but really for the cows. So any bit more we can get the pond to hold is gonna be just that much better. So I'm gonna see what I can do to drag some logs over and kind of start stacking them, piling them on the far side of that bank, and then try and pack it in with clay and then put some seed on top to kind of bring it all together and just see if we can build that up, because there's plenty more space in the pond, especially on this far side, that it could hold a lot more water where it's more slanted. But you know, another foot or so in here and it's gonna start spilling out over that side. So I'm gonna trial and error that now. We'll see. Flash flooding up here this week. We weren't here, but we were keeping an eye on the weather. The pond is full to the brim, but there's definitely been quite a bit that's washed down in there, so we're curious to see how deep it actually is.
How deep it stayed after everything washed in.
Be brave. Just don't actually get stuck, because I'm not coming in. Yeah, even last time when I was just putting my hand in, it was getting cold. How sunken are your feet?
Oh, that's what I dug further down.
Yeah.
Just with a shovel. I think this is the deepest point right here. I'm not sunk in very far.